J.J. Abrams is reuniting with one of his Padawans for Star Wars Episode 9. With the new film slated to begin shooting soon, Variety reports that Abrams has cast the American star Kerry Russell in a mysterious new role. It's unclear what kind of character she might be playing, but Variety claims that she'll be doing a lot of physically demanding work like stunts, so she may be playing a new Jedi, Sith, or something else. Kerry Russell and J.J. Abrams go way back. She starred in the 90s series Felicity, which was the first big show that Abrams created. She also appeared briefly in the Abrams-directed Mission Impossible 3 in 2006. Star Wars Episode 9 will arrive December 2019. Now, I've already started to see some marketing and some Instagram pings that there are about 530 days left until Star Wars Episode 9 comes out, and I don't know how people are feeling. You know, myself personally, I am interested to see how some of the threads that were kind of burned by Rian Johnson will be picked up by J.J. Abrams, and see if, Snoke matters in all of this stuff, and if Luke is going to reappear, and how they're going to handle with the Leia stuff for the story. I'm very intrigued for all that. I am also a big fan of Kerry Russell. I met her at Sundance years ago, and she was very nice and a very graceful, very cool interview. And I like their partnership. I like seeing Kerry Russell in that Mission Impossible movie that J.J. Abrams directed. And she's fantastic in The Americans, which is a great show. So I think that's cool. I feel like there are a lot of characters in Star Wars, but I guess there's been a lot of death in Star Wars over the last couple of movies. So maybe we will have somebody cool. Maybe somebody has picked up the signal of the hope for the Force out in the universe, and she is a new Jedi in training or something. Or maybe some kind of cool flashback. Very curious. Would love to hear your thoughts on how you feel about Episode 9, and also how you feel about Kerry Russell being added to the cast. Now, the makers of some of EA's biggest Star Wars games have another mysterious project on the way. EA's Montreal-based subsidiary Motive Studios, which is currently working on one of several upcoming Star Wars projects, has another unannounced game in the works. Studio head and former EP co-host Jade Raymond made the announcement while speaking with Game Informer, and although she didn't give too many details away, it sounds like this new project will be an original IP and not part of the Star Wars franchise. Since the game hasn't even been revealed yet, don't expect to be playing it for a while. As for Star Wars, Motive recently worked on Battlefront 2, and they're currently co-developing the untitled Star Wars project that started development at the now-defunct studio Visceral Games and is now being headed by EA Canada. No word yet on when that one will arrive. I think that they didn't hire Jade to create Motive with any kind of small intentions here. Jade was running Ubisoft Toronto. She's got a long history at Ubisoft Montreal. She's worked on massive titles, and I know that one of Jade's desires in the game industry is to create original properties and to make her own stamp and put her own stamp and her studio stamp on brand new ideas out there. I know that Star Wars is near and dear to her heart, as it is to many developers and many of us in the media. Many human beings on Earth, Star Wars matters. So I think that she's giving her all with her team to craft something interesting with this new Star Wars game. And I don't envy all of the controversies that have surrounded Star Wars in the last several months, and trying to navigate through all of that. So hopefully the Motive and EA Canada game will be a fun game. But I am very, very curious to see what Jade and her colleagues have got cooking at Motive that isn't Star Wars. And I guess we might find out, I don't know if we're going to find out anything this year, but we might find out at E3 in 2019. Now, I know Jade is up for a Vanguard Award with the Develop Awards that are happening in Brighton any day now, and she's going to be speaking, so maybe something will come out of that. Maybe some news will be generated out of that. But congrats on that award, Jade, and we all look forward to hearing what you guys are cooking. All right, it looks like the dinosaurs of Jurassic World won't be going extinct for a very long time. The new movie Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom has just crossed $1 billion at the global box office, making it the third film this year to cross the billion-dollar threshold, and the first one this year that isn't a Marvel movie. Universal Pictures is already working on the next film in the Jurassic franchise, but these numbers indicate that the studio will want to continue the franchise well after that, as long as it keeps raking in the dough. The third Jurassic World movie will break loose in summer 2021. How many movies can they keep bringing dinosaurs back? You know, I mean, I feel like they're just flogging a dead horse. I mean, I liked elements of Jurassic Fallen Kingdom. I thought there was some pretty cool stuff there, but nothing that has been made in the Jurassic franchise has come close to Steven Spielberg's original, and I don't know if you can really, churn in that same pool and create something very interesting. We'll see. These things make so much money that it feels like it's just a business transaction. It doesn't feel like there's really, huge artistic risks being taken by anybody involved with these things. They're massive projects. They employ a lot of people. They make a lot of people a lot of money. And sometimes that's enough for Hollywood to just say, okay, let's sign on this and let's keep making these things. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the first Jurassic World movie. The second one, all I remember is the volcano. That's all I really want to remember about that movie, and the underutilized Ian Malcolm. I've heard that Laura Dern and Sam Neill are going to be coming back for the third Jurassic World movie, which I think is kind of cool, but I don't know, man. It's like they're trying to rally all of us to get excited about this stuff, and I think we just show up because we want to see the effects and we want to see the dinosaurs, and I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on. There's at least one reason to see the upcoming Fast and Furious spin-off movie, and not just because of all the mindless action. British actor Idris Elba is officially set to star as the main villain in the Fast spin-off Hobbs and Shaw. As you might have guessed, Hobbs and Shaw is being headlined by The Rock as Hobbs and Jason Statham as Shaw, so Idris Elba should prove to be a worthy adversary. Like the Jurassic World movies, the two most recent Fast films have each earned more than $1 billion worldwide and are especially popular in emerging international markets like China, so it's no surprise why the studio wants more. Hobbs and Shaw will hit theaters next year, with the next film in the main Fast series slated to cross the finish line in 2020. Why are these movies so popular? That is a fantastic question. I think they become self-aware and they realize that there is nowhere for them to go but into the ridiculous, and I seem to remember cars jumping off of helicopters or something and skating on ice and stopping a nuclear missile in one of these Fast and Furious movies. I'll tell you this much. Statham and The Rock are two phenomenal personalities to see on screen. I was about to say actors and I stopped myself, but they're just fun to watch. And Idris Elba is also an incredible personality, but an amazing actor. So that's a cast I'm interested in. That makes me want to go and see this movie. They're crazy films that are over the top, but they are also kind of aware of, their comedic value. And I feel like maybe that's something that the Jurassic movies could move into a little bit more and become almost a little they parody themselves a little bit, and they poke fun at themselves a little bit more than they do. But I think the Fast movies, because I don't think anybody expected them to be this big and this successful, and for them to keep making them, they've just gotten crazier and crazier. They're like, yeah, it works in our universe. Let's just jump a car into, a spaceship and go out into space, and then we'll be driving around on a Corvette on the moon, and we'll do it. It'll work. And I think that's where they're going with those, and they're just insane enough to be entertaining. All right, over in the world of streaming, Netflix is throwing a few billions in the other direction. Financial site The Economist predicts that by the time 2018 is over, Netflix will have spent no less than $13 billion on original programming. That's more than what all of the big Hollywood movie studios are spending this year, and it's also more than double the $6.3 billion that Netflix spent on content last year. These numbers include original shows and movies that they produced like Stranger Things, as well as movies and shows that were made by other companies and then sold to Netflix, like the recent Cloverfield Paradox. Looking ahead, analysts predict that Netflix will be spending more than $20 billion on original content in the next few years. That's the only way that Netflix can kind of play this, right? They've got to grow to become as big or bigger than any of the other studios out there, and I think they have Disney in their sights, not just because Disney's going to be streaming all of their content on their streaming service soon, but also they're just a major content purveyor. They're just a massive studio. So if they want to, and they're, Netflix is a big public company. They've got a lot of public interest. They've sort of laid the groundwork and the infrastructure to almost develop themselves into a monopoly. And so now if they're going to sustain that stakeholder investment goodwill, they have got to grow to become one of the biggest studios, not just one of the biggest content and technology companies on Earth, but also one of the biggest content studios, manufacturing content. That's the only way for these companies to stay ahead, because once you build the infrastructure and then everybody else has a chance to kind of look at how it's all done, and then they copy the technology, as we've seen this time and time again in the tech sector, that technology can quickly become somebody else's, or close proximity for somebody else to kind of come out there. And it's really the content. Content is king. It's really those brands. It's really the entertainment and the way that these eyeballs are captured that sustains these businesses. And Netflix knows that. They're very aware of it. They're obviously overspending probably right now, but I think it's all in an effort to become as big and prolific and permanent as Disney or Warner Brothers or any one of these other huge, massive studios out there. I wouldn't be surprised to see, Netflix theme park attractions and things like that down the road too. They're getting into licensing in some pretty big ways, but they are going to try to find ways to monetize and capitalize on all the eyeballs that they've got in some major ways. They are already one of the biggest brands on Earth when it comes to bringing us material to consume, and they're getting into comic books, like the deal that they just did with Mark Miller. So we're going to see a lot of big moves from Netflix. It's the only way for them to go. Otherwise, they're going to get consumed. They're going to get beaten up by a lot of their competition. All right, you guys, it's time to take a look back in time at this day and everything cool.